Hello everybody, this is Game Scott and welcome back to another edition of Cheerless Tuesday. It is June 2nd, somehow we're already in the 6th month of 2020 after everything that's been happening. Oh, we still got another, 7 months, June just started. But this month, for Cheerless Tuesday, we're going to be going over the Persona 5 Royal characters, including Palace rulers. So first things first, obviously this video will contain a little bit of spoilers, so if you haven't played through Persona 5 Royal, click away or save this for another time. Again, just because you played Persona 5, there's going to be some more stuff in here that if you don't want spoiled, get out of here, because we're gonna get heavy into Royal spoilers pretty quickly, just based on the way these characters were lined up. I didn't make up this list was already on tiermaker.com. I was like, cool. So there will be some spoilers, obviously. And for Palace Rulers, I will be, including their character, of course, but I will also factor probably a bit heavily their actual palace themselves. So, just keep that in mind as well. The palace rulers, I will be factoring in how much I enjoyed their palace and stuff. Alright? So without further ado, let's get into ranking. Maybe. Ranking the Persona 5 Royal characters and Palace Rulers. And the Palace Rulers are characters, so it's not like a separation. But, not just the main characters in the game and your group and the stuff, the confidants. Yeah, that's it. Not just the confidants, the Palace Rulers as well. And some other pretty important characters, as you'll see. So we'll start off with the SIU Director. We're going to put him, not in the C tier, we'll put him in the B tier, is where I meant to. I don't have my mouse right now, I'm just using my touchpad on the laptop, so apologies. It might be a little bit slower. But the SIU Director, he's just kind of, he comes by every now and then. He's very clearly the main antagonist, quote unquote main antagonist throughout the story before the again, quote unquote, reveal of the true main villain antagonist of the story. He's just kind of, always there to just kind of tell you that, hey, there's some big dude at the end of this who's like pulling all the strings or something. And, you don't really see who the big villain is, but you can, if you're paying attention, you probably should have a decent idea of what's going on. So he's just a solid B tier character. Nothing really, phenomenal. Not terrible. He's just actually, I'll put him in the C tier. He moves the plot forward ahead a little bit sometimes, but he's not really a big character or anything. So, I am going to keep him down in the C tier. Dr. Maruken. And there were so many times where they pronounced his name differently in the game, and I was like, is it just Maruki or is it Maruki? Because they said different, what's it called, inflections or something, enunciations, stress syllables. They put the stress or the emphasis on some syllables sometime and other syllables, and I was like, what is happening? Is it Maruki? Anyway, Dr. Maruki, he's a new character in Persona 5 Royal. S tier, absolutely. I already warned you about spoilers, so it's fine. You turned away now, or you're gonna pay the price. Dr. Maruki's palace is absolutely gorgeous, especially the Garden of Eden at the very, 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 very end. It looks amazing. I wish you could be there longer, or that would be part of. I mean, it's technically part of the palace, but I wish there were like things you would do. Although thematically, it kind of makes sense that there's not. It's the Garden of Eden. You don't want to be fighting shadows in the Garden of Eden. It's a Garden of Eden. It's peaceful. So never mind. Scratch that. Thematically, it makes sense that it's you're just there and it's peaceful. But the maze section at the end, or the little puzzle section, whatever you want to call it, that was a fun time. And the first half as well, the science lab and everything, um, that was also, it just looked stunning. There was one section, I think, towards the beginning, while it was still a lot of just exploration of the palace and like the story heavy part of the palace, where whenever you were going through the back rooms that I got stuck on quite a bit. Um, I was like, I don't know where to go. So I was on there a little bit longer than I should have been. But anyway, his palace is wonderful. His awakenings and awakenings plural, um, were very well done, and I just like the backstory through the VHS tapes in the palace. But even throughout the game, it's just some researcher who's doing cognitive science comes to your school as a counselor after Shiho's attempted suicide, and it just makes sense to add him in. And he seems like, I mean, he is a likable character. And I was watching another video where someone put it really well. Um, Dr. Maruki is clearly the antagonist whenever you get to that part of the story, but he's not a villain. Like his goals are, they're fine goals. You want to make everybody happy. There's nothing wrong with that. Clearly, he's the antagonist. You want to stop him because, you know, who's to say, they want to live in a false reality that's made up by somebody else just so they can uh, have fake happiness. Um, so he's not necessarily a villain because his goals are, they're good goals. It's something. But his character is very well done in the story, and I like him. S tier for sure. Kasumi Yoshizawa, absolutely not B tier. I'm gonna put her in the A tier. She's also a new character um, in Persona 5 Royal. And during the opening cutscene, whenever you're in Sai's Palace, like the very beginning of the game, where you don't really know what's going on, if it's your first time playing it, they do add her in to the escaping the casino scene. And that fits well. It kind of leaves you, oh, hey, look, there's this new person. Um, the reason why she's in the A tier, she is an absolutely wonderful new character. Absolutely. But the reason she's in the A tier instead of the S tier is just because I wish she would be in the Phantom Thieves longer. Like, whenever you do get to Sai's Palace, what you see in the beginning of the game is literally what you see of her in the palace. She hasn't joined your team or something. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It doesn't seem like she's joined your team at the beginning. She's like, thanks, but I'm gonna fulfill my promise, and she's not really part of your team. And the game kind of makes that clear. But I just wish she'd be a little bit more involved. And I was devastated whenever we went to Shido's palace and Kasumi was like, you know what? I think I should join the Phantom Thieves. And then you get a dialogue option that's basically the same, but saying it two different ways. Like, I don't think it's safe for you to join, or no, that's okay. We don't want to put you in harm's way. And stuff like that. And I'm like, no! Just let her join. I want her to join. And just to put that option where she's like, all right, I'm ready to join once you get to Shido's Palace, and you're just like, nah, fam, it's okay. You just be safe outside of the metaverse. I was like, no, I was devastated. So, um, Yeah, that's why she's A tier. Absolutely wonderful character. I won't mention much else, but the only thing I wish was she was involved with the Phantom Thieves for a little bit longer. Even if we just got Shido's Palace, that's fine. But her scenes throughout the game, building up your friendship with her, is it was a really good time. There were some new cutscenes, of course, that really enhanced the game. I think so. Kasumi, absolutely wonderful character. I just wish she had more uh, time with the Phantom Thief. So that's why she's in the A tier, not quite the S tier. That's my only one criticism, really. Jose, I don't even know how to say his name. He's a C tier as well. He's also looking through this list. I think I think he's the last new character in Persona 5 Royal. Um, but he's in the Mementos. He drives a little car around, and he helps you upgrade Mementos. You can get more XP or more money or more item drops and stuff, and you collect flowers um, while driving through Mementos and get stamps. And you can use that to buy items and, like I mentioned, upgrade stuff. Um, but whenever he was introduced at the beginning of the game, he's like, "Oh, I'm in Mementos to learn more about humans, and I'm studying up on the flowers and everything." I I, I was expecting more from him than what happened. Like during Maruki's palace, you go in the new part of Mementos, and he's like, "Oh, these flowers taste icky," and I'm like, "Okay." And there was a little bit more than just that, but still, I wish there would have been a little bit more story with him than there actually was. Like he was just kind of like, "Hey boys, I'm here. Upgrade your Mementos stuff or buy new items with flowers and stamps and yummy flowers and all that stuff." And it was like, okay. I just whenever he popped up in Mementos for the first time and he gave his initial story and dialogue about what he was there for, I was just expecting a lot more for his story to go than what did occur. So, kind of similar to Kasumi, but just much more underutilized than Kasumi, obviously. And I was hoping for a lot more from this new character. Because Mementos is a cool place, dude. You got a new dude here researching humans in Mementos. It's a little cool thing. It just wasn't utilized as much as I think it could have been. Kanashiro. I'm gonna put him in B tier. As a character, as the villain antagonist, he's a very laughable, stereotypical, like kind of mafia boss guy. Um, and so I don't know, he was around. Like the story leading up to it was interesting. I found where you have to like ask around school about people getting jobs that pay lots of money. I like the little bit of detective work, the usual heavy story based stuff that happens between palaces. I really enjoyed that section. Um, but Kaneshiro, he's kind of a laughable villain. Even his palace self, he has a little Hitler mustache going on, and he's purple for some reason, I think. So he's okay. Also, I know a lot of people really like it, but I'm not the biggest fan of that section of the Palace theme song. It's too squeaky. It's like I forget. Whenever it's the squeaky part, I don't like it. I like when that little what's it called? track section. What's it called? Line. I like when that rhythm plays on the bass. It's the bass line. But whenever it's all squeaky and stuff, like towards the beginning, I don't like it. I don't like the squeakiness. I know a lot of people love it. I don't think his palace theme is up there, up on my high up on my list. All right. So Kaneshiro B tier. Let's look at the characters real quick. Uh, Okumura. Okumura. Maybe I'll put him in a D tier, I think. Okumura, he's, the rich billionaire douchebag who sells off his daughter for his company, and he's just, ugh. But Okumura, he's like, now I'll move him up to the C. I don't think I put him in the D tier. Okumura's Palace, honestly, I think in Persona 5 Royal, the Palace is improved. The boss fight was awful. Um, Apparently, it went in the complete opposite direction. I forget the boss fight from Persona 5, but reading up on all the videos and things, they said the Persona 5 Okumura boss fight was way too easy, and in Royal, they just switched a flip and they made it way too hard. So it took me a long time to do that. By a long time, I don't mean like a super long time. Persona 5 Royal is like a 120 plus hour game. So it wasn't like, 15, 20 hours, but 2, maybe 3 hours, I think. I don't know. I had to do research and stuff. Look up things, be like, what do you do? I didn't go to Merciless. I didn't take that route. Um, but it was just. Um, but the airlock section towards the end of the palace is it's a little bit poopy. Just because it takes so long. Like, it takes so long to fly through the space. Like, the atmosphere and the setting is cool and all. Um, but also, I remember the, what's it called? The lunchtime timers, the 30-second timers where you have to just run around the map. That was also a little bit annoying. So his palace isn't really the best, not a big fan. Although the theme for that palace is a bop, I believe. It is a bop. I like that one. Um, but yeah, the palace isn't too great as a character. Um, he's a poop head. I mean, he is a villain, so he's meant to be a poop head. But it's just the whole little section with Okumura and his palace and everything. It's just kind of a little bit of a lull in the story because it's like, oh no, something's coming. Because I think around this time you can start to see the calendar clock slow down a little bit during its fast forwards. Persona 5 Royal did a really good job of not making that too obvious, but I feel like in Persona 5 the original, you could tell when the calendar starts to slow down in the fast forwards like way too early. Like it built up a lot of like hype and excitement. Be like, oh boy, we're getting to the date. We're getting to when we're fast forwarding to. It's exciting. Um, you just want to. There's a lot of stuff going on in the story, and you want to get there. And it's like, hey, here's Okumura, and you're like, but that's not the thing. That's not what we're building up to, really. Um, and, introduces Haru. Um, a little too late, especially in Persona 5. Persona 5 Royal, you have a little bit more time with all the characters, so that's good. But Persona 5 especially, Haru just is introduced and joins the Phantom Thieves way too late into the game to really enjoy her presence and let her build as a character. Um, so yeah, there's that. Madarame, your second palace. Also, this is really, really off the top of my mind. I didn't really put a whole lot of thinking into this tier list beforehand. Some of them I do like, I like not the whole thing, but a couple things I think about, and I'm like, this is definitely going to be this, and this is definitely going to be this, and I'll have maybe a general idea of what I'm thinking. But I didn't really come into this one with a whole lot of uh, pre-knowledge and thought about it. So this is very much live. This is instinctual. Madarame I really like. And this is maybe kind of getting into Yusuke's character a little bit as well. And maybe that's cheating. I don't know. But Madarame, his palace looks super. I sort of enjoy jumping through the paintings. Um, but the introduction of the treasure shadows were pretty. It was pretty cool. You got laser beams and you're off on like your own for like one fight. Then you get Ryuji or On or somebody. Then you get the other character, and that was a little bit of a tense moment in the game because you gotta do a battle by yourself. Oh boy, what are you gonna do? You gotta beat him. But his palace is still very early on in the game. You're still getting used to the world and the metaverse and everything. And the end of the palace really feels, you're stealing an art piece. It really feels like a heist. An art heist, a museum heist, whatever you want to call it. So the ending sequence of actually stealing his treasure is really well done. It makes you feel like, hey, we're thieves. Um, and Yusuke is he's a good boy. He's a weird boy, but he's a good boy. So without Madarame, we wouldn't have Yusuke. So that's good. And as a character, it leads to some entertaining moments. The whole Yusuke discovering his Madarame's closet of the paintings. I forget the name at the moment. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it. But the painting, his famous painting, the Mona Lisa of Madarame. Um, but yeah, Madarame is a good guy. Not really. Um, but I liked his character. I liked his palace. However, the boss fight, I feel Persona 5, Madarame's boss fight was hard. From what I recall, because the paintings would come back up and Madarame would just pop up for like one round of abuse, and then the paintings would come back up. And the paintings weren't super easy, especially for such an early palace and still getting used to the mechanics and everything. I don't think it was too easy. So Persona 5, the boss fight was a little tough. Persona 5 Royal, I think the boss fight is a little long. As long as you're prepared with heals and blocks and defends and stuff, it should be okay. But I just felt it ran a little bit too long. I'm not sure. I may have to play them back to back. I'm not sure which I prefer because they changed Madarame's boss fight a decent amount, I feel. So I'm really not sure which I prefer. They both have their own quirks about them, and like I said, Persona 5, I think it's a little too tough. Persona 5 Royal, I think it's a little too long because you got so much stuff going on, and you have to worry about healing your characters so they don't die, and you're too busy focused on healing and protecting that you don't really have an opportunity to do what you need to do, which is actually, attack. So there's that. Madarame, A tier. Oh boy, I need to go faster a little bit, don't I? We're already 24 minutes in. Look at this. We're 24 minutes in. All right. Shido, S tier. Absolutely. His palace is fantastic. It's a nice long palace. It feels like, I say feels like, It feels like it's the finale, what the whole game has been leading up to. And you got these 5 people that you need to get reference letters from, and it really, um, it just it's long. It feels like, hey, this is it. You're going all out. All the characters are showcased whenever you get the reference letters, so it's a really good way to show, you know, kind of, hey, it looks like this is going to be the farewell for the Phantom Thieves. This is what we've been building up to. But, obviously, if you're watching the video, we know the truth. But during my original playthrough, I was like, oh boy, Shido, this is it. And the Palace theme arc is my favorite. I love Arc. I think it's very underrated. I don't hear as much praise about Arc as I do some other Palace themes, and I'm like, what are you talking about? The theme fits so good. Do 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 do. It's so good. And then also during the boss fight, the soundtrack during Shido's Palace and boss fight and everything is just the best. His boss fight, the first phase, you get to hear Rivers in the Desert for the first time in the game. It's just an instrumental. But whenever you get through his first phase and the lyrics come in, it's like, dude, this is the final fight. Obviously, it's not, but it builds up so well. It's like, dude, this is freaking it. This is the dude that ruined your life. You were saving that lady from being harassed by him that got you sent off to, you know. So, this is it. And Persona 5 Royal did an absolutely wonderful job changing his boss fight. They didn't change it too much, except for the final phase. Shido kind of puts up a barrier that knocks your other teammates outside of it, and so it's just you versus him. And that was a really cool moment. It wasn't too big of a change for his boss fight, but that was so impactful. That was really cool. All right, so Shido, he's the big baddie. He's the one that ruined your life. He's kind of the main villain, antagonist of the story. It feels like, and it's just everything has led up to this guy, this moment, this palace, and also the freaking calling card is, whew, what a cutscene. And then the whole uh after the boss scene where Ryuji quote unquote dies is a good time. So Shido, he might be like my favorite antagonist. Favorite palace, especially song, the palace theme. It's just everything is good. And then you got that final fight against Takechi after the cleaner dude. And you're just like, dude, I just fought the cleaner. Or the whatever he is. The cleaner, the janitor, whatever. And you're just like, please let me go. And Takechi's like, hold up. You're like, dear God, no, I need to just heal. Because the janitor isn't a really easy fight. It's a tough fight. And then Akechi's like, hey, boys, what's up? I figured out you still alive. Anyway, uh, yeah. Joker, the protagonist, S tier. There's not really much to say about the protagonist. You're the protagonist. He is you. He's Joker. I prefer Akira over Ren if we're talking about canon names. I like Akira. I think it sounds cooler. But yeah, S tier, there's not much to say there. On, I'm going to put her in the A tier. I'm going to put her in the A tier. I got an idea of some stuff, but On is very high up there. And my wife, watching the game, she'll always call her Anne. And I'm like, no, she's On. She's like, oh, whatever. And I'm like, On's the first person to really join the Phantom Thieves outside of the main trio. Obviously, you bump into Ryuji going to your first day of school, and you end up in Kamoshida's palace, and and Ryuji's like, whoa, what's going on? This isn't school. You're just like, Ryuji, come on. I think that's pretty obvious. But on, she's cool. She's with the Phantom Thieves for like the what would it be? Technically the fourth longest because you got obviously you, Ryuji, and Morgana, but still like on is basically with you since the beginning. So because up until you get on in the Phantom Thieves, everything is just kind of still a little bit hand-holdy towards you to lead you up to that moment. It's like the second room in Kamoshida's palace outside of the dungeons. So she's basically with you from the beginning, and her story is great. Her confidant story is good. And she has a lot of funny moments, especially with Yusuke. Him asking her, "Have you gained some weight?" And she has like 80,000 layers of clothes on. She has had a lot of good, funny moments, especially with Yusuke. They kind of go well together in a comedic sense. So on, yeah, she's A tier, absolute goody, but not quite S tier. Not for me, at least. Caroline and Justine, I'll put them up in the A tier as well. Really, not much to say. Their banter back and forth and with you is entertaining to say the least, and at least with some good moments. And their growth through their confidant, the request for shadows or not shadows, personas to gather with certain moves. The story through there is pretty cool and leads you to think, especially towards the end, like, what is going on here? Who are you two? And so that leads up to the big reveal after Shido's palace. Uh, but yeah, Caroline, Justine, good characters, not too much to say. Um, yeah, they're A tier. Chihaya. If I were to do this after my playthrough of Persona 5, I did not get max confidence on every way. Persona 5 Royal, I managed to squeak by like the very last possible day I could. I got like the last character up to max rank, and I did it. I was very close and cut on time, but I did manage to get max confidant 10 and the true awakenings or whatever you want to call it, the fusion of the original and the second awakening. I don't know. Is the name for it canon? The true awakening. I don't know, but the third character's persona. So I got everyone to max 10. I got all the Phantom Thieves up to their true awakening, the third persona for them. Um, but it was very tight. But anyway, like I was saying, if you were to ask me how to rank Chihaya after I played through Persona 5, I might be like, hey, you're B tier, whatever. Persona 5 Royal, I'm ranking her S tier. I paid a little bit more attention to her. I used her. The abilities you unlock through Chihaya are just absolutely phenomenal, and I use those a lot. But I also liked her country background, and of course, I was hoping at one point during her rank 10 voiced dialogue that there would be at least one line of country dialect, and of course there was, and it was just as entertaining as I thought it would be. So yeah, I like her story and stuff. I like her confidant story. Um, her abilities that you unlock as you rank her confidant up are incredible and I think necessary. So yeah, Chihaya, I'm gonna put S tier. Futaba, I'm gonna put S tier. Although I do have to say, Futaba is in the S tier as a sister, not as a not as a girlfriend. I think, for me personally, I think the game pushes too much of the big brother little sister aspect on the protagonist in Futaba than it does a dating romantic relationship. Obviously, I think all rank 8s for romantic interest kind of lead up to the possibility of a romantic interest, just so it doesn't come completely out of left field. Um, but Futaba, the wonderful story. Her cutscenes, especially in the beginning where she's Alibaba, those are really fantastic and stuff. Um, Futaba's a very funny character, kind of, shut in, obviously, and just kind of emerging from that shut in lifestyle. She's very funny, humorous, and a lot of good moments with Futaba. But again, I see her more of a little sister character than a romantic interest. She's not one of the people I would typically date unless for achievements in the game. Just because I think it pushes the little sister aspect too much. And I'm like, I'm not down with that. But I'm not criticizing you if you believe, Futaba is the ultimate waifu or whatever. To each their own. I'm not saying, hey, you're a terrible person if you date Futaba. I'm not saying that. I'm just like, my preference is I view her more as a little sister than a dateable person. So there's that. Akechi is going to be a very top based, top heavy uh, tier list, isn't it? Akechi's S tier. He's with he's in the story since what, Madarame's Palace, right? Whenever you go on the social studies field trip to the TV studio or whatever. I think that's maybe like a little bit before Madarame. I forget. But he comes up pretty early, and you see him throughout. And again, Persona 5 Royal did an amazing job kind of making him more interactable. So you actually have to rank up his confidant. It's not just story based. So I like those cutscenes a lot that they added in that was new. Um, Especially like the freaking rank 8 or rank 9 or whatever towards the end, where you have a 1v1 fight in Mementos, and he's like, hey, Joker, I fucking hate you. And you're like, oh, cool. He's like, yeah, I really hate you. I'm probably gonna kill you someday. I'd like to at least. And you're like, oh, that's cool, Catchy, thanks. That's really honest of you. And you're just like, dude, holy shit. Catchy. Um, but Catchy, pancake boy. What more can you say? Um, he's S tier. He's a wonderful antagonist, and especially his implementation in the third semester of the game is, I think, really cool. I think it's really cool. And the true ending, where you see a little flash of his jacket after everything's been said and done, also really cool. Haru, even though I got her up to rank 10 in Persona 5 Royal, I still don't think I really still got enough time with her. I'm gonna put her in the B tier. I'm sorry. Her introduction is humorous, at least in the beauty thief context. Obviously, she's been introduced a little bit before in the what is it, 4th of July fireworks where it rains or something. You do see her getting into a limo there, and you do see her, planting flowers in front of the school, um, closer to Okumura's palace and all that stuff. Um, but the beauty thief and her little escapades with Morgana for like 2 seconds. The beauty thief part, not the mementos part. But the beauty thief part is entertaining. I don't think I got enough time with Haru, even in Persona 5 Royal. Because unlike Kasumi, Haru, they said more screen time for Haru, but like it wasn't like Kasumi where it's like, throughout the whole game. So Kasumi's like always a presence throughout the whole thing. Haru is still just kind of exists in the world up until she's brought into the story. So more screen time for Haru. I don't really know what that means. Unless it means the third semester, but it's more screen time for everybody. And I'm like, this is not specifically Haru. I didn't feel like Haru's presence was that much larger in Royal than it was in Persona 5. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I don't know. Hifumi, I'm also gonna put her in the B tier. I really do like her. I like her confidant story. Um, but I still think I'm gonna put her in the B tier. There's a lot of, you know, absolutely excellent characters in this game. Persona 5 has no bad characters. So like, everything, there might be a couple D tier characters, lower C tier, all that stuff. There might be a couple characters that are low on this tier list, but keep in mind, a D tier character in this game is probably like an A tier character or S tier character in a lot of other games. Like Persona 5 has no bad characters. So, even though I might be ranking some of them, B, C, and D, they're still absolutely phenomenal characters. All right. Um, if you know or didn't know, Hifumi was originally going to be a Phantom Thief, and this was all the way back in Persona 5. This wasn't just like a possibility for Persona 5 Royal. The original plan for her in Persona 5 was to be a Phantom Thief. Um, and the game was already too long. They decided, I don't know how they decide that. If it's like an 80-hour minimum game, I don't know how you decide like 80 hours, 80 plus hours. That's fine. But 120, that's pushing it. I don't really see how you can build up Persona 5 to be such a massive game and then decide at some point it's too much, it's too long. Unless they couldn't get the story to fit, then that's fine. But I think what I've seen is it was like time restrictions. They're like, we don't want the game to be too long. And I'm like, dude, your game is like at least 80 hours. For the original Persona 5, it did. I was in triple digits for sure. But I'm like, dude, if you've made up all this stuff, people are going to be invested. They want to play it longer. They want more. So, if they had a story that fit naturally, then it would have been fine. If it was like story reasons where you're like, just doesn't quite fit into the puzzle, then that's fine. But I don't know if time restrictions is a excuse I want to buy into. Like, your game is long. Don't worry if you add in another character and Phantom Thief and Palace for it. So anyway, Hifumi, I hardly talked about Hifumi, but yeah, Hifumi's great. Confidant story is cool. I don't understand shogi. I've played it in the Yakuza series. I think that's shogi, right? Shogi is like the Japanese chess. I don't get it. But Hifumi's a good character. I like her. Well, I'm still gonna put her in B tier. There's way too many characters that I think are just better. Maybe just because they have more screen time. I don't know. And Hifumi's only a side character. But I don't know. It is what it is. Oh yeah, you gotta put her in the D tier. I'm sorry. It is there for a reason. I don't want the D tier to be empty, but I think that's understandable. Her confidant abilities that you unlock are just absolutely garbage. Unless you're playing Persona 5 blindfolded and like holding your controller upside down, I don't really see any reason why Oya's abilities would even be used at all. It's like, oh, you the what's it called? Alert meter in palaces is lower. It starts off lower. It doesn't increase as quickly. It's like, it doesn't matter. And her confidant story is just okay. Like, a little bit of the detective work towards the end is cool and stuff, and her friend that's dead. Um, but and you don't want to be dating an adult alcoholic, and it's just weird. I don't know. Oh yeah, you know that if there's one character in this game, again, in any other game, Oya would probably be an A or S tier character. But in Persona 5 terms and quality, if there is a character that is a D tier, it's Oya. I'm sorry. Mikoto! You know Mikoto's going to the S tier. Mikoto's a great character, aka Queen. Um, During her introduction into the Phantom Thieves, it does get a little bit repetitive with the whole useless theme, because every time it was like a flashbacks within flashbacks, and all of these flashbacks happen in like the last 10 minutes. Mikoto goes home one day and her sister calls her useless, and then she goes to the Phantom Thieves at the walkway, and they're like, "How can you help? You're useless." And then it shows a flashback to 2 minutes ago when Mikoto was at home. Not 2 minutes ago, but 2 minutes ago in the game time. It's like when her sister calls her useless, and then she's like, "Useless?" And then whenever she gets kidnapped by Kaneshiro, and he's like, "What are you gonna do? You're just a useless high school council president." And then it shows a flashback of On calling Mikoto useless at the walkway. And then it shows Mikoto having a flashback at the walkway of having a flashback when she was at dinner with Sai, and Sai calls her useless, and then she's like, "Useless." It's just like all of this happened in the past 10 minutes. I don't need to see it for a seventh time. I understand what you're getting at, okay? Everyone's calling Mikoto useless. I get it. Oh no, it was a flashback to Akechi being like, "Oh, you're just a goody two shoes council president." Blah, blah, blah. That was what it was. But still, I'm like, we just saw this. I get the point. Okay. But Mikoto, other than that, in that little, just a little bit outrageous flashback usages, um, absolutely S tier character. Her confidant story with her dad is cool. Her relationship with her sister Sai is awesome. It leads to some interesting, tense moments, especially when she has to go steal the data from her laptop while she's in a 30-second bath. I'm like, relax. um, and Mikoto is just awesome, really. She's the council president. Her kind of character arc throughout the game is just astounding, and she's adorable, especially when she's spying on you by just holding up a magazine to her face, and she's being not subtle at all. She a good she's a good character. Morgana, I'm gonna put in the A tier. A lot less annoying in Persona 5 Royal. Doesn't tell you to go to bed every 2 seconds, which is cool. And Morgana, she's the person who kind of founded the Phantom Thieves, came up with the idea. She's there since the beginning. Oh, sorry, he's there. My bad. I've said she like 3 times. He's there since the beginning, and I keep saying her. His infatuation with On is a good story, and it leads to some good moments. One of the reasons I don't really date On too much either, just because I don't want to do that to Morgana. His arc, is with Ryuji is a little bit hypocritical. Don't like that. That's a little bit of a lull in the story. Just kind of why Okumura's Palace in general feels like a little bit of a lull. There's trouble in paradise whenever the Phantom Thieves break up. So that whole little arc is like, probably why it's not an S tier. But he has a lot of good moments, especially towards the end of the game. It's just whenever you find out like where he came from, what he is necessarily, it's some good moments. Morgana's a good character in Persona 5 Royal. let's just keep him as a cat. I did not like human Morgana. I was like, yo, go back. You know the meme where it's like smash the go back button, where it's like upgrade, and then you see a picture. It's like, no, wait, go back, go back, go back. I wanted to go back. So yeah, A tier for Morgana. Iwe, Gundad, Yakuza, Dude, Kazuma Kiru of Persona 5. I'm gonna put him in A tier. I really like him. He's a good, ex Yakuza. I don't know, but his confidant's good. His, the story with his son and everything, who I can't remember the name of quite at the moment, is a fun time. There's not too much to say about Gundad. I like his confidant. He's a scrappy dude. Doesn't really want to deal with BS, but just like Kiru, always is getting dragged back into the Yakuza life. And he's like, yo, just let me leave. I'm running a gun shop here. So there's that. Gundad, B tier. Ryuji, best bro. You know he's going in the S tier. Absolutely. Ryuji, he's also the other character that has been there since the beginning. You run into him on your way to your first day of school, and you show up at Kamoshida's palace, and you're like, huh, this looks like more like a castle than a school. But Ryuji, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. He's a good dude. What can you say? He is the best bro that a bro can have. If you're in trouble, you want Ryuji on your side. And he sacrificed himself to put the boat down in Shido's palace. Even though he didn't die, he could have. And he's a bro. Ryuji's a bro. Best bro. Kawakami, A tier. Um, whenever you find out that she is a maid, that's a very good. I don't want. It's not a cutscene, but it's a very good point in the game with Ryuji and Mishima, where they're just kind of like, "Hey, I'm here," and then there's a knock on the door, and they're like, "You know what? I don't think I can do this. So, bye bye, Joker. You got this." And they're just like, "Okay." And then she comes in, and she's like, "Yo, what's up? You want me to clean something?" And you're like, "Hey, what's up? It's your student from homeroom. How are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh my god!" Uh, but that's a very entertaining scene. That's the word, scene in the game. And her story is her confidant is cool. I like her confidant. It's very entertaining. You call her, pay her 5,000 yen to come and clean up, and she gets up to your room in the attic and just immediately flops on the bed. It's like, thanks for calling me. I'm gonna take a nap. And you're like, yo, this isn't what I paid you for. But Kawakami, I think she's A tier. Fosho. Shinya, I believe that's his name. Shinya is going to be B tier. He's a confidant that shows up. I feel a little too late in the game to really rank him higher, just because he's there for so little time. But for the time that he is there, again, confidants only have pretty much the same amount of story time and screen time as all other side character confidants. But Shinya just showed up too late. It's not like most of the other confidants where it's like, hey, you know, they're there throughout the whole game. Um, but the Chihaya and Oya, they do pop up in that new area, but that new area is still relatively early. That's with Kaneshiro, the third palace. That's still way early in the game. You don't really got to worry about that. But Shinya just shows up, I think, way too late. And his confidant is still good. Nothing really wrong with his confidant. The gun duel, whatever the game was called, is a fun time. The cheater to kind of unlock his confidant and convince him, be like, hey, come on, help. That was a cool little mini boss fight in Mementos. That was a good one. Because you're like, dude, I'm just sad. I'm not even angry. I'm just sad. So Shinya, he shows up a little bit late, and I think that's why I'm going to put him in the B tier. Just because, I don't know. Nothing too shabby, but nothing too spectacular. Takemi, the doctor, she's S tier. She was the person I wanted to date originally in Persona 5, and I think I even was going to, but I didn't realize how the choices worked and stuff. Like, you got to really commit to what you're saying whenever you're like, hey, let's go out. And so whenever I got to that moment in her confidant, I originally said, like, yes, let's date. And she's like, oh, ha ha ha, you're so funny. And I was like, oh, I don't know what did I say. Should I be like, I'm serious? And just like, haha, yeah. And so I clicked the wrong option, and the last time, the closest I had saved to was like a couple hours ago. So I was very sad. But Persona 5 Royal, I did not a full harem route, but I did date quite a lot of people. And once again, I think I actually missed Takemi's option again. I clicked the wrong one. But that time, the save file was only like 15 minutes ago, so I was like, you know what, just speed through some cutscenes, and let's do this. Because I want to date Takemi. Um, but Takemi, the doctor, the local doctor, is absolutely S tier. She's a good character. She's like the one. I guess I did date Chihaya, but she's the. I don't know. There's something wrong with dating any adult as a high schooler, but she's the one that I'm like, yeah. uh, Yoshida, right? Yoshida, the political man, the politician. No, 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 no. Yoshida's in the A tier. He's a good dude. His abilities, his confidant abilities, are super cool. Have we even gotten through all the palace rulers? I mean, looking down at the list, I only see Kamoshida left. Kamoshida, Madarame, Kaneshiro. I guess technically Wakaba or Futaba. Oh, there's Sai. That's it. Sai is the other one. I was like, I'm missing. There's at least one more besides Kamoshida. And there is. But anyway, going back to Yoshida. He's just a good dude. You like his confidant. You like his public speaking and everything. Working at the beef bowl shop is one of the only times in the game you work. Unless you're getting mementos requests and you have to work at the flower shop or wherever to hear out for local gossip. But he's a good dude. His confidant is really awesome. And his abilities are super cool. And he is a little bit of a tough cracker to crack. A tough nut to crack. Not a tough cracker to crack. You don't crack crackers. You crack nuts. He's a little bit of a tough nut to crack because I think he only appears up on Sundays. Um, so you really gotta make sure you have the time for him because you want his abilities as soon as you can get them because they're really cool. So yeah, Yoshida, I think he's an A tier confidant character. He's super duper cool. Wakaba, Ishiki. I'm kind of like, I don't know why she was put on this list. I guess it is Persona 5 Royal. Um, and you do get to see a little bit more of her. But she just seems, just a B tier just because she still isn't really in the game that much. Um, Wakaba, she seems like a super great mom. And so, like, that was really nice to see, even though it was like, this isn't real. Um, those cutscenes were nice to see, and getting to see her interactions with Futaba and Sojiro, just super cool. Wakaba, the boss fight, I wasn't a super fan of the boss fight. I feel like it was just kind of. I felt like it was really long, and I was like never in any real danger of dying. Because it was just such a long cycle of, like, protect, get everybody's defenses up, lower her attack, then attack her a little bit, get the whatever it's called, ballista, shoot at her, get her down on the thing where you can attack her using whatever. It just felt like a really long and tedious boss fight. Um, and I was like, this is like my least favorite boss fight. And I don't know if that's a knock on her or Futaba necessarily, or nobody. I don't know. But yeah, I think Futaba's boss fight might be my least favorite. Even more than Okumura. Okumura was tough, but a challenge is good. But this one was just long and tedious. Especially in Persona 5 Royal, I don't know what it was, but it just felt like I was doing the same things over and over again and nothing was happening. Until finally, it was over. Also, I'm kind of surprised looking at the rest of these characters that Igor isn't on this list. That's kind of surprising. Mishima. I'm going to put him in C tier. I think Oya. We'll keep Oya as the lone D tier character. Mishima, because his confidant abilities are super cool. All your backup party members and everything get the same amount of XP as your regular party members is super useful. So, like, he has very good abilities that you want to unlock. But he's just kind of an annoying character, and the game kind of, I feel like, pushes you to support his increasingly erratic and stupid behavior. And she's like, I am the Phantom Thieves. I'm going to change everybody in the world. And you're like, dude, just shut up. But the game pushes you to support that behavior because whenever you say, oh yeah, Mishima, you're doing a fantastic job. You're not becoming a terrible person at all. Then you get like rank up points with them. You get friendship notes. And it's like, yeah, that was the right dialogue selection. Because, you probably want to be like, hey, Mishima, chill the fuck out. But if you do that, then you don't really get any friendship notes. And the way you get most friendship notes is just to promote and support his behavior until finally at one rank is like, hey, dude, you need to calm down and just take a look at yourself because you are out of control. And he's like, no, I'm not. And then you go visit him in Mentos and spit on his shoes without shining him. So Mishima, he's a C tier, even though the really cheesy moment at the end where the pull meter goes up to 100%, even though it's really cheesy, still makes me tear up. And, that wouldn't be possible without Mishima. Yusuke! Ryuji is best bro. Yusuke is best boy. He's just such a weird freaking dude. I can't help but, like, laugh at, like, every other line of dialogue he has just because it's so off the wall and weird. And, like, dude, what are you even saying? And also, Yusuke has the absolute my favorite confidant scene ever with painting the distress or whatever they said, the distress of Christ, and they're both in church just with their arms up and in the Christ pose, and Yusuke's like, come on, Joker protagonist, not like that, like this. And then you hear the audible whoosh as his hands go up and his one leg comes up. And then you do the same thing and you get the same audible whoosh. And that's like my favorite confidant rank in the game. I think a lot of people would agree. Just because it's the most memorable. Like there might be another one, sure, but that's just absolutely the most memorable. I'll say that. It's the most memorable, probably in the top five. Principal Kobayakawa, Mr. Potato Head or Egghead. I don't know what you want to call him. We'll put him in the B tier. He's kind of the early game main antagonist. It seems like because you feel like he's talking to the SIU director or maybe even someone higher up. Um, so it gives the poor impression that he's like, well, it gives the good impression that he's caught up in something bigger. So yeah, the game doesn't try to paint him as like the big main villain behind everything, but it does give off the impression like, hey, he's part of all this stuff that's bigger. Um, but he's the principal. He's a potato head. We'll just keep him in the B tier. Nothing spectacular about him. Nothing terrible about him. Because look at this man. How can you say he's a terrible man? And then the scene where he's about to confess and everything, and he has a mental shutdown. That's sad. And we're off in like Hawaii or something, aren't we? Whenever he dies, so it is what it is. Sojiro Sakura, aka Dad. How can he not be S tier? Look at that man. Um, his freaking character and his, kindness towards you throughout the game is like one of my favorite parts of the game where, whenever you move in and he's like, yo, don't be a delinquent, you delinquent. You're just a piece of garbage. Why did I even decide to take you in? And then by the end of the whole thing, he's like, yo, I got you, don't worry. Dad is just the best. And that's really, there's nothing else to say. Dad is dad. Coffee dad. How can you not like Sojiro? Sai. You're going to put in the A tier. She's, the person that's interrogating you throughout the whole game up until you get to her palace. And her palace is absolutely wonderful. Although, I don't know why. Her boss fight is. I really like the boss fight in Persona 5 Royal compared to Persona 5. I like the roulette wheel change. Like there was the cheating aspect where the glass cover goes over whatever you selected. But I think after that, you just fight some more. But I really like what they did in Royal, where they changed the roulette wheel into other stuff, and it gave a little bit more, you know, it added another element to the boss fight that I don't think was in the original Persona 5. Um, besides, the character is wonderful. The palace is wonderful. It has whims of fate, and this is where the whole game began. It's where, you know, everything has been leading up to. Now you're in real time at this point. This is the present now. It's not the past, what's happened. Everything that's happening here and afterwards. Well, I guess technically afterwards, after you get caught. This is the present, it's the future, it's what's, you know, this is it. This has been the big kind of climax at the moment, it seems at least, of, what's going on. Um, And I didn't even realize until Royal how freaking short her palace is. Like Persona 5, it didn't even cross my mind that it was a short palace. It felt like it took me some time. I don't know if it was just because it was my first playthrough and I still, you know, I had a decent idea. Size Palace is relatively late into the game, so I like to think I had a decent idea of the mechanics and stuff. But I don't know what it was. But Persona 5, I had never once thought at the end of this thing, I was like, wow, that was really quick. But Persona 5 Royal, once I got to the boss fight, I was like, whoa, we're done already? And I don't know, her palace just feels really short, but it is one of the best palaces. out there. And again, you got Whims of Fate. Whenever you get to the boss fight, that's the first time you hear the lyrics of Life Will Change instead of just the instrumental. And it's like, this is it. This is the moment. And this is kind of the climax because it leads to you getting captured and it leads to the present, the interrogation room, and the whole big twist, and then literally 2 hours of exposition afterwards. Um, so this is like the climax of the game, really. So A tier for Shiho. We'll put her in B tier just because the only time she really exists is at the beginning of the game and at some later points of On's confidant story. And so, Shiho is, On's best friend, and she's cool, but, she's just not really in the game too much to have a super differing opinions. Like, I don't think there's a lot of differing opinions about Shiho just because there's not really a chance for there to be. She's not in the game that much. So, yeah. Seeing this, I'm kind of even more surprised. Shiho's on the list, but Igor isn't. Igor's a confidant. Shiho's not a confidant. You got the SIU Director, Kobayakawa, Shiho. Anybody else that's weird that they're on here? Not really. But, like, Igor's not. I don't know. It's weird. Igor, I don't know. I'd put him up in A tier, I guess. He's whatever. Lavenza. We'll put her next to Justine and Caroline. Just because reasons, obviously. Lavenza's cool. You fuse Justine and Caroline together and you get Lavenza. That's just such a super cool name. La freaking Venza. So Lavenza. She's cool. Dude. There's not much to say about Lavenza. She's, the fusion of Justine and Caroline. Makes Lavenza. She has her full sight now. She can see that Igor is fake. Kamoshida. S tier, baby. He is a wonderful starting in antagonist. Yeah. But no, he's a wonderful starting antagonist, and you like the dominoes meme where it's like, hey, you stop a high school teacher from sexually harassing students as a tiny domino, and you tip that over, and then it's like fake artist and mob boss, and then at the very end, the biggest domino is like, kill God. So things certainly can spiral and get larger, and you just start off at such a small scale. Start off at Shujin Academy, just trying to put an end to abuse by a PE teacher, volleyball coach. But the only other Atlas game I played at this time, up before Persona 5, was Catherine, which I really enjoyed. I also enjoyed Catherine Full Body. But Kamoshida, his boss form, really, really reminded me of a lot of the Catherine bosses, if you want to call them bosses, and stages of the knights. He just felt really like, he was a monster. And, having only played Catherine, I could be like, yep, these are the same people that made Catherine. And it just felt really nice to kind of be not in the same world necessarily, but, in the same developer's state of mind. Be like, yeah, I played Catherine. A lot of those bosses kind of look like this. He's just a disgusting poop head jerk face. And his palace is super duper cool. It's a nice introduction to the game, and he's a great place to start off with such a small time antagonist. Compared to some other people that the Phantom Thieves take on, he's such a small little ant in the world of the Phantom Thieves. But every story starts somewhere. The Phantom Thief story started with Kamoshida. That was really cool. So yeah, that is my ranking. An hour, 15 minutes, 75 minutes, not too shabby. You know, not the longest one. But that is my ranking of Persona 5, Confidants, and Palace Rules. And the SIU Director, Kobayakawa, and Shiho. And Jose. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. Cheerless Tuesday comes out every month, the first Tuesday of each month. So the next Cheerless Tuesday will be July 7th. You gotta wait the longest amount of time you can before you get to the next, the first Tuesday of another month. July 7th is the latest a Tuesday can be. But anyway, I'll be back July 7th with another Cheerless Tuesday, but for now this is a Persona 5 Cheerless Tuesday. Characters, Confidants, and Palace Rulers. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment, and if you want to see more videos similar to this, like I just mentioned, first Tuesday of every month, please subscribe as well. Once again, thanks for watching, everybody. This is the Game Sky, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.